Hi, welcome to Hollywood. This is Josh.
This is Carter, and we are coming to you from Maz Kanata's Watering Hole, where the drinks are plentiful and the music actually changed for once.
Yeah, they didn't have that do.
Y'all haven't guessed, we're going to be talking about Episode 7, The Force Awakens.
It's made quite a few dollars.
It's made some bucks. I think Disney can pay their rent this month.
Yep, they don't have to get their power turned off.
Oh, yeah, the past due bills are getting paid. Oh, God. For those of you listening, this is going to be spoiler heavy. We're actually going to talk about the movie through and through, about what happens. So please, if you haven't seen this, that's your fault.
Yeah, it's been 2 weeks, so...
You don't see this movie, you're letting Avatar win the highest grossing movie of all time.
The other saying Star Wars should probably top it by Monday. So a couple
China
days from
hasn't
now.
even opened, has it?
Nope, that opens like next week. Like a week from now. We're recording on the 2nd of January, so these things have already happened.
I can't gush enough over how much I love this movie.
Yeah. It was pretty much worth waiting 30 years for.
Yeah, it was. It almost felt like an apology letter for the prequels. And even George Lucas's backhanded comments, or backhanded compliments, I should say. Because here's what I've gathered from a few interviews with George Lucas. He originally had an idea that he gave to, what's his face that's head of Disney now? Bob Iger.
Yeah, Iger.
Yeah, he gave it to Iger. And, Iger and two of his people read it, and a couple weeks later they were like, well, this is really interesting, but we're going in a different direction. And I think that hurt Lucas to his core, because Lucas couldn't say no this time.
Yeah.
Because he sold his rights, and he sold it for a lot. Not to mention the fact that George Lucas owned a lot of Disney stocks.
Yeah.
So he kind of double dipped on his own deal. More power to him for doing so. He wanted to buy in Disney stocks and sell what his worth. How much did he sell it for? Like close to $1 billion? Oh
no, it was $4.5 billion.
$4.5 billion. Okay, $4.5 billion. And that's billion with a B. Not to mention double dipped. I mean, he's probably one of the wealthiest Americans right now.
Probably.
And he should be happy with that. But he watched it and he was like, well, I can see why the fans really like it. Here's the thing about this. He's never been in it for the fans. He never wanted to make the fans happy. He wanted to make himself happy with the story and hoping people would also enjoy it. And there's something to be said for that. Tarantino does that. Tarantino makes films that he wants to see. He doesn't make films that other people want to see. But it just so happens other people like what Tarantino's doing. Lucas, on the other hand, great idea, man. Wonderful visionary. However, he is not a good director, and he cannot write dialogue very well.
But he has been a good, like, THX 1138, I thought it was his best directed film.
How many years ago was that?
That was probably like 40 years ago.
Yeah, so we can't really judge what he did 40 years ago based upon what he did in 2000 and so on with episodes 1 through 3.
Yeah, 3 came out in 2005, so 10 years ago.
Yeah. We'll judge what he did on that, and that alone was horrible. Interesting side note I found out this week, and this is a little bit off track. The original offering to play Anakin Skywalker through 2 and 3 was given to Leonardo DiCaprio, who turned it down. And thank God Leonardo DiCaprio did, because he could not have saved the dialogue in that film, as good as he is.
Natalie Portman's pretty good, and she couldn't do anything with it.
Yeah, I love Natalie Portman, but poor girl is so wooden in those films. And even Keira Knightley was in episode 1.
Yeah, even Samuel L. Jackson, who's usually animated and everything, was pretty wooden.
Yeah, I mean, the most action he got was in episode 3, about 1 minute of dialogue before he dies. Oh yeah, spoilers for all the other films too.
Yeah, if you haven't seen them, oh well.
We're just spoiling all Star Wars that we know of. So let's talk about episode 7, The Force Awakens. We begin with the opening crawl. Luke's missing.
How much did you geek when episode 7 came up on the crawl?
Oh, dude, I was like, as soon as... And that was the weird thing. First, we didn't hear the Fox trumpeting.
Yeah.
That's kind of always been part and parcel. But whatever. As soon as I hear dun, 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 we hear the opening theme of Star Wars. You can see the Star Wars logo just appear. Like, my heart immediately leapt. And as soon as I read the crawl, Luke has gone missing. That's all I needed.
Yeah.
No diplomatic bullshit, no trade federation, none of that. Luke's gone missing. We've got a mystery on our hands. Where is Luke Skywalker? And then it goes on. General Leia Organa is head of the rebels. They're fighting off what's left of the Empire, which is now known as the First Order.
And a rebranding at some point.
I think it was just the remnants of the Order. The Senate is trying to the Republicans gained control of the galaxy more or less, but they're still fighting off a civil war against the First Order.
Yeah.
And we open up with a squadron of... Well, we open up with... what's his name? Oscar Mendez?
Oscar Isaacs?
Oscar Isaacs, thank you. Sometimes I get my name confused. Oscar Isaacs playing Poe Dameron. Poe Dameron is down on a desert planet similar to Tatooine, but not Tatooine, called Jakku. And in this, he's getting a secret part of a map for the location of Luke Skywalker from some random old man, whom I'm not really sure who that is. It was never clearly defined as to who this is, but clearly he had connections with Luke, with Leia, with Han, knows their family, and is trying to help out the rebels.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for Poe Dameron, the First Order has descended with Captain Phasma heading a brigade of stormtroopers, and they're trying to take out the village and get Poe Dameron. Well, Poe stashes his map inside a droid unit known BB-8 and sends BB-8 out of the camp saying, you need to run. Just run. And BB-8 might be my favorite addition to the new universe.
A lot of people are afraid that BB-8 would be a new Jar Jar type, like annoying droid, but I didn't think it came up that way at all. And people seem pretty relieved that it didn't.
If you have a ball with a cup on its head making humans emotionally react to it, whether through laughter or through tears, you've got something special. And BB-8 was able to convey those emotions to humans, and that is friggin' hard. That's something R2 never really conveyed. Not sorrow, not hopelessness. BB-8 could do it. And that's under the guise of J.J. Abrams. Abrams knew what he was doing. He's always been a Star Wars fan, and was able to work with a practical effects team to bring this universe back to where it should be. So, BB-8 escapes. Then we see one stormtrooper not wanting to fire on the camp with the others. And that stormtrooper turns out to be a character known as Finn.
Yeah, FN2187.
FN2187, which he never had a name because he was taken as a child from his home and raised to be a stormtrooper. Kind of makes sense. That, clones are gone, so... And they even bring up the clones.
Yeah, I appreciated that. They acknowledged that the prequels happened.
Yeah, they gave a little, tip of the hat on the nose towards the audience, and I really appreciated that. But during the scene, we also meet Kylo Ren, who is now, appears to be leading or part of the head of the First Order, and it's clear he has use of the Force. He's carrying around a wickedly new lightsaber, kind of looks fractured and almost flaming because it's kind of cracked a little bit.
It looks more like a knight sword, like the old, than the straight up lightsaber.
Which I did find out the reason for that. Apparently, the focus crystal he found was cracked, so he had to build 2 auxiliary units on the side of the lightsaber in order for it to function properly, which also gave him that little hilt right there.
That makes sense.
That makes sense. And apparently, it was Vader's crystal that he found.
Nice. So I guess they found it with the helmet.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume so, or in the remnants of might have gotten blown down to the moon of Endor. But then it goes up to the spaceship, and they're pissed off that FN 2187 didn't fire on the unarmed civilians and mass murder them.
Oh, how great was it? You got that bloody handprint on him.
Oh, dude, that bloody handprint on his helmet looked so fantastic. That was a money shot right there.
Yeah.
And you're like, we need to get this guy bloody.
I heard that initially JJ thought about putting that on the movie poster.
I heard that too. I did hear that. But Abrams, if nothing, he loves to keep his secrets.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what his trailers did. I mean, we really didn't know anything of what was going on with the trailers. We just knew, like, these characters are here and this is Star Wars. That's all we knew going in.
Yeah.
And I appreciated the hell out of that. Because the internet, the way the world is now, we're all connected. There are no surprises. That movie was a surprise. And thank God both of us went on opening day so we couldn't get spoiled.
Yeah, it was... I saw it like the first possible, like, it was a preview... I don't know why the hell they call it a preview night.
I don't either. It used to be a night for press screenings.
Yeah, then now it's like for everybody, I guess.
Yeah. And I used to actually go to the press screenings at midnight when they would test the reels.
Yeah.
And it was because they would let us smoke and drink in the theater. Because no one was there. So we just kind of did whatever we wanted. We took up like rows of seats, had trash bags full of popcorn to smoke and drank.
Nice.
It was nice. But watching, we go to that scene, and Finn, after Kylo Ren has interrogated Poe Dameron, goes to Poe and say, "I'm helping you get out of here. It's the right thing to do." And Poe just says, "We need a pilot." We need a pilot. So they kidnap a TIE fighter and, in a haphazard way, fly out of the, I can't really call it Imperial, I guess, First Order's spaceship.
It's a Star Destroyer, I think a new model.
Yeah, it was a new model of the Star Destroyer. But they crash back on Jakku. Meanwhile, BB-8 has found a new friend living in the desert known as Ren.
Ray.
I'm sorry, Ray. Too many R's. Ren, Ray. Yeah. And found Ray. Ray, just Ray. Has no name, last name, just Ray. Just Ray. And she is a scavenger. Apparently there was a very large battle on Jakku between the rebels and the Empire years and years and years ago, and there are a bunch of destroyed Star Destroyers, and you see some X-Wings laying in the desert, and she's a scavenger. She goes to these ships and salvages them for parts.
Yeah, you could actually play that battle on the Star Wars Battlefront.
Which is really cool.
Yep. We'll talk about that another day. But it's a good game.
But we go in, and we Ray meets BB-8, and BB-8 just keeps saying, "I'm on a secret mission, can't tell you. I'm looking for my friend. And somehow, this kind of gets me, Ray understands droid. I'm not sure how anyone understands droid, but it's whatever.
Yeah, it's like Ray sort of fights with her own, like, she's living basically like hand to mouth.
Yeah, she's living very, very poor. She's living in an old hollowed out ship of some kind.
It's like she kind of wants to sell the droid out because, it's not her problem. So you see a little conflict in her at first, I noticed.
Well, but that wasn't much conflict because, Ray is just that character who just knows what the right thing to do is.
Yeah, but the temptation was there.
Yeah, the temptation because, I don't know the character name is played by Simon Pegg in the CGI. Said, "I'll give you 60 portions," which I guess is magical food for them.
Yeah, because they put it they put this thing in water and it sort of turns into like bread, like instant bread or something.
Well, I thought that was really cool. I'm like, I want some of that. I don't know how tasty it is, but it's pretty cool. That would do me in a pinch if I had to eat something.
Yeah.
Like just a small bowl of water and some powder. Bam! Bread. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's some sort of ration.
Yeah, it looked like military rations almost. But the TIE fighter crashes and gets sunk underneath the water. We find out only that Finn has survived.
Yeah, Poe's missing.
Poe is not there. He only finds Poe's jacket and the hollowed out burnt husk of the TIE fighter. But Finn ends up going to that camp looking for water and ends up running into Rey and BB-8. And BB-8 was like, hey, that's my friend's jacket. And then Rey was like, bro, what are you doing? Who are you? And Finn's like, I'm with the Resistance, which was a lie. He was just running. But they need to, they see the First Order coming to look for him, so they try getting on a ship. Ship blows up, and they take the junk ship. And the junk ship is the Millennium Falcon.
My theater popped.
Dad popped. Man, the audience so popped. Even I went and saw it a second time. People in the audience are still popping. My son, sitting there watching it. I wish I could have filmed his facial expression when he saw the Millennium Falcon on the screen. I'm getting a little choked up talking about this because he got so excited, and I was so happy for him to have that moment.
Yeah, because we haven't seen Millennium Falcon in 32 years because it wasn't in the prequels.
Thank God they didn't put it in the prequels. That would have just tarnished the legacy of the Millennium Falcon. But God, I was just so thrilled for him to see that on the big screen, to have this magical movie moment. And his face just lit up like Christmas. I mean, I'm tearing up a little just talking about that. But man, when I first saw it, I was watching it with my work crew because we skipped work to go watch it. And as soon as the Millennium Falcon appeared, my friend Evan and I stood up with our arms in the air. Like, they nailed it right there, that moment.
Yeah. I mean, the interior looks exactly the same as the original, so they did a great job on the set.
Yeah, they did. And apparently Kevin Smith got to take a tour of the Millennium Falcon while they were filming that scene. And he gushed about it. He was just like, Abrams is getting it right. This is a return to practical effects. I have a non-disclosure agreement, so I can't go into details, but dear Lord. But they escape, and then they're, Finn and Rey escape in the Millennium Falcon, but suddenly they're captured by a freighter ship who pulled them in by a tractor beam. And they go into hiding, and the door pops open from the outside, and it's Chewie and Han Solo looking for their ship.
They were hiding in the same area that the original crew did in Episode 4.
They hid out in the smuggler's little bay that Han had made in there because it's a smuggler's ship.
So that's like the first place he looked because he's like, I know there's a man here.
Like, you guys aren't smarter than me. This is my ship. But they're like, you're Han Solo? And when you mean the general? No, the smuggler.
Yeah, this wasn't Harrison Ford, like old man Harrison Ford. This was Han Solo. Like
this is
I was afraid he'd call it in and be like, whatever. But no, man, he like nailed it.
He nailed it. This is the performance Harrison Ford needed to have in Indiana Jones. They didn't. It's probably his greatest piece he's done in 15, 20 years. I mean, I can't, I'm gushing on this movie. And the movie does have some faults. We'll get into that. But I can't gush enough about how well Harrison Ford did. And the dynamic he and Chewie had was so on par with the original movies. He understood Han Solo. He is Han Solo. He cherished that character and gave him the treatment that was deserved. And the direction team, along with the film production team, everybody treated it as such.
Well, the thing too, it's not like this is not the same Han Solo that was in Return of the Jedi. He'd gone through some shit in the last 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, this is like shit's gone down. We know shit's gone down. You know, he's battle worn. He's tired. He's hurt emotionally, and we find out that he and Leia haven't seen each other for some time.
Yeah. But he's in debt again.
Yeah, he's typical. In debt. He's typical Han. He's made a deal with two different outlaw groups that have come to collect on him all of a sudden and bust down the ship. And he, famous line, I'll deal with this the way I always deal with things. Pump my way out of it. Yeah,
there was there's the monsters that CGI monsters he was smuggling, but I thought they were alright.
Yeah, a lot of people have hated on that. You know what? Due to the camera action of it, it wasn't focused on the CGI, so the CGI kind of blurred itself into the surroundings. I liked it. But with all the practical effects, again, I don't like CGI that much in movies because it detracts a lot. But it worked in this one because it was just a little.
Yeah, because they didn't show the whole monster. We just saw like its mouth and tentacles and stuff.
There's one shot, and I didn't see it the first time. I saw it the second time, where the monster, whatever that thing is called, gets on the cockpit from the outside of the Millennium Falcon and starts eating it.
Yeah.
They do a pan to the outside to show the monster eating it, and it looks like the monster is humping the hell out of the Millennium Falcon. And I'm just sitting there like, my son's like, this is so cool. I'm like, that monster is trying to impregnate the Millennium Falcon.
That'd be episode 8, the Millennium Falcon gives birth.
Like some Falcon monster tentacle hybrid.
That's the new Death Star.
That's the new God. We're sending these. We don't know what they do, but dear God, they're ugly. I mean, I chuckled. I thought it looked like it was something good. But then, they jump to light speed. They go to Maz Kanata. And here's where the story really ties itself together, right, at Maz Kanata. Because we find out a few things during this whole sequence of why they're visiting Maz Kanata. Maz Kanata is not a place, it's a person. It's this very old creature, and even Han says she's been running this watering hole. It's a bar, much like the canteen on Tatooine, but this place is luscious and green.
Yeah, she's kind of like if Yoda ran a bar.
Yeah, kind of like if Yoda ran a bar. A little more uppity than Yoda. Kind of reminds you of your wise grandmother who has a fire in her.
Yeah.
And still get around. She's been running this place for 1,000 years, and you even look like there are flags from all over the galaxy on the walls of the exterior of the bar. And there was even a Mandalorian flag, which you and I like.
Oh, yeah.
And that was awesome. That was like, oh, yeah, Mandalorians. Maybe we'll see some. We don't, but it's still okay because they at least showed their flag.
There's a 501st flag in that, too.
I did not notice that one.
Yeah.
That makes sense, though. I mean, the 501st has done a lot with the Star Wars franchise. So. But watching, they go in the bar, Maz Kanata's like, hey, here's what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, and I didn't notice it the first time. But there's a part where Maz Kanata looks at Han while Finn and Rey are up deciding what to do, and she looks at Han and goes, who is the girl? And then it quick cuts over to Finn and Rey. And I didn't really notice it the first time, but at the same time, Han knew exactly who Rey is.
Oh, so they're just trying to keep it from her.
They're trying to keep it from Rey, and they're trying to keep it from the audience, and I appreciate that. But then we go, the Empire has... not the Empire. I just keep wanting to call them the Empire, because it looks like the Empire, but it's not. It's the... Now, I've lost the name, Josh.
First Order.
Thank you. We cut to them on top of their new Death Star, which is called the Star Killer, which is like 10 times the size of a Death Star, built out of a planet, or they terraformed the base. It's not really clear. But we've also in this time met General Hux. Who's the actor playing Hux?
I have to look it up.
You look, that guy nails it. I mean, I've always missed Grand Moff Tarkin. I thought he could do so much more, but he died in New Hope. So, and I thought we needed that general presence to kind of counteract, counteract Darth Vader, be another head, counteract Kylo Ren. And we get General Hux, and this guy must have watched every World War II Hitler documentary that he could have gotten his hands on, because the speech he gives outside the base to all of the stormtroopers and TIE fighter pilots and everybody was so Hitler-esque. It looked like Berlin 1939. And that's what it straight reminds you of, and that's what Abrams is going for, and he nails it. But the guy playing him was so fantastic in his role. He was like Hitler Youth rolled in, has come of age and is now taken over.
It's his name is Domhnall Gleeson.
Domhnall Gleeson. Well, that guy, Domhnall Gleeson, really nails it. He did a great job with it. I've never seen him before. And the same for the actor playing Kylo Ren.
Adam Driver.
Adam Driver, this kid's been on a show called Girls. I've never seen it. But he takes his helmet off at one point. And
we forgot an important scene. The scene where Kylo Ren confronts, or Kylo Ren and the hologram of Snoke.
Oh, yeah.
They drop a bomb early.
Yeah, Hux and Kylo Ren go and meet with a gigantic hologram that pretty much looks like a very messed up Abraham Lincoln Memorial.
Yeah.
That's the way to describe it. That's the size. And it's General Snoke. Snoke is being played by Andy Serkis. We don't know who Snoke is. They just call him Supreme Leader Snoke. Now, it does slip in the dialogue that he's trained. He's the one that turned Kylo Ren to the dark side. That's been training him in the ways of using the Force for power instead of, the Jedi way. So he's training Kylo Ren to doing that. Who is he really? It doesn't get into that. We know that he can use the Force, but who is he really that he can train?
Yeah, he's a Dark Jedi for sure. But then he casually drops the bomb that your father Han Solo is with him, and my jaw's like, oh.
Yeah, and I was like, well, that makes sense, because I thought it was either going to be Luke's kid or the twins from the books that are no longer canon. But if you read the earlier books of what happened, Han and Leia had twins, and I honestly thought, after watching the movie for a bit, that it was going to be the twin. Now, initially, before the movie, I thought Kylo Ren was Luke Skywalker.
See, I didn't. I was trying to tell you, it's like, why would they hire Adam Driver if they were going to do... Well, I guess he could do the physical stuff with the mask on, but...
Just a switcheroo, because Abrams likes to screw with people.
Yeah, true.
I mean, Abrams wants to keep a secret. That would be, we're going to hire a separate actor and film everything twice. I mean, that would keep a secret. That would definitely keep a secret. But we get that bomb dropped. Blam! Kylo Ren is the son of Han Solo and Leia Organa. Mic drop.
Yeah, it was pretty early in the movie for them to drop something that hard.
It was very early, but they went for it, and you just hear the audience go, "Ooh!"
And then that scene, Snoke's theme. You want to talk about a little bit about Snoke?
Yeah, we can go into Snoke right now.
If you watch Star Wars Episode 3, there's a scene with the Emperor, Darth Sidious, and Anakin. It's kind of like the seduction of Anakin Skywalker scene.
Yeah, they might as well have laid bed sheets and lit some candles for that scene.
But it's like there's a music playing in the background, like this kind of like
yeah, it's a John Williams score.
Yeah, and so if you notice, since when Snoke appears, that's also his theme. And what Darth Sidious was telling Anakin was about with his master, Darth Plagueis the Wise. And then And then also, if you notice in The Force Awakens, Kylo Ren says that Snoke is wise.
That's true, and that was the line uttered. So it's, and it might be nothing, but I don't believe in that many coincidences.
And Plagueis had the power to defy death.
Yeah, but where was Plagueis the entire time with the Emperor? I mean, the Sith were only supposed to be.
Well, you've seen Snoke is all torn up, right?
He looks torn up, like there's a gigantic gash in his head.
Yeah, so maybe, I mean, Sidious just stabbed him in the head or something.
Yeah, that's a very bad place to try to stab someone, too, by the way. I mean, there's a lot of bone there. It's much easier stabbing him in the chest.
Because Sidious said he killed him in his sleep.
Yeah, but in the head?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just dumb. I honestly, I'll buy it, but dumb. Dumb to stab someone in the top of the head.
Yeah.
Like under the jaw, right there. That's very soft. No bone.
But in Star Wars canon, it's not unusual it's not unheard of a Sith to get kind of kicked out of the Order. Because Darth Maul survived Episode 1 and is in the Clone Wars TV show. He's no longer a Sith.
Which, I don't understand how you're no longer a Sith, but...
It's kind of like the Catholics excommunicating you. You know what I mean?
But there's two. That seems a bit ridiculous to me. If you're a Dark Force user, you seem to be Sith. You're already a Sith. You're a Sith for life. It's just me.
Yeah, but not all Dark Jedi are Sith.
Yeah, but then you're overcomplicating things, sir.
Well, I'm saying that there's other in canon. There's Ventress. There's the Inquisitor.
Yeah, I get that, but also, are there other people on the light side that use Force that are not Jedi?
I think so. I don't think we've seen them.
We've never seen that. So why does the dark side have so many variations?
Because the Jedi typically gather their own.
Because they're all jerks. That's why.
Yeah, pretty much.
They are a bunch of jerks. Anyway, so the First Order attacks Maz Kanata's bar. The rebels come to help, but it's too late. Finn tries to fight him off, but Ren ends up getting captured by Kylo Ren.
Yeah,
Rey gets on by Kylo Ren. Sorry, and he takes her away to Starbase. Blah blah blah. But right before that, and I forgot to mention this, Maz Kanata. In Maz Kanata's bar, Rey starts hearing a voice. And basically a child saying, "Come back, don't leave me." And she follows the voice down to the cellar, and this door kind of magically opens for her.
Yeah, we assume it's a flashback from where her family abandoned her. At least that's what I got out of
it. But we see a door just kind of pop open for her. She finds a small chest, and inside the chest, a lightsaber. Not just a lightsaber. You and I recognize that immediately.
Yeah, that's Anakin's lightsaber.
That is Anakin's lightsaber. That was Luke's first lightsaber.
Yeah.
And she touches it and suddenly has a giant LSD flashback. Well, not really flashback because it's kind of events that did happen and then are going to happen.
Yes, the Force talking to her.
Yeah.
But it's like...
she immediately dropped.
It's kind of like, where did Maz get that, though? Because last we saw Anakin's lightsaber, it was on Bespin. Cloud City.
I thought it was on Cloud City. Yeah, it was on Cloud City.
Well, Cloud City is on the planet Bespin.
Okay. Well, you know what? We never see fall out of anything onto the surface of Bespin.
Well, I don't know if Bespin had a surface. I think it's kind of like Jupiter. It's just gas.
Well, yeah, it's gas, but eventually there is a surface down there.
Oh, okay.
Something, but we never see it fall out, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's very possible it's inside a structure and was found.
I would think at that time, if somebody like maintenance on Cloud City found a lightsaber, it would have value.
Yeah.
Because Jedi were pretty rare by, 30 years after the Clone Wars?
Yeah, Jedi were non-existent. I mean, still lightsabers, but, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's been that long, and she could have easily have gotten it, or who knows what, if it was found, it might have been given to Lando. Who knows what Lando did with it?
Yeah.
So I buy it. I mean, it's a stretch, but I buy it.
I think they could make a book or something explaining it.
Oh, dude, we could make a book on so many of the different nuances. Like, I was talking to my kid after the movie, and he wants to see a movie about Kylo Ren's rise to power.
Oh, how he turned dark and...
Yeah, he wants to see all that. He wants that more explained.
That would be interesting.
That would be really interesting. Adam Driver gets his own movie. The Rise of Kylo Ren. I'd watch it.
It could be one of those anthology films.
But to be fair, if they slap the Star Wars name on anything, we watch it.
Oh, yeah, true.
We watch the prequels. We've watched the prequels more than once for whatever reasons.
Because Darth Maul is cool.
God. No. He's cool, but he was underused and poorly written.
But he was still cool.
Ah.
So let's see.
Up on the ship, Ren has Rey. He's trying to force. He's pretty much trying to mind rape her. He is forcing himself into her head.
It's kind of like a Vulcan mind meld,
but without permission.
Yeah.
Let's be fair. This is mind rape.
Yeah.
I got the creepiest vibe when I was getting a rape vibe from him.
You're like,
I was like,
is it Ben Roethlisberger under that mask?
Or we're not talking about that. We're not talking football. Talk about football some other time. But he even said, "Just let it in." I'm just sitting there, but it was freaking creepy.
Yeah, because he done the same thing to Poe earlier.
Yeah, Adam Driver did such a great job of making us hate the villain.
Yeah, he had that sort of Jason Todd. What other archetypes are there? Anakin in a way.
Anakin, the one who feels slighted by his family. Apparently, his father, who wants to do his own thing. He's going to do it in a very evil way because we hate our parents. And
he's pretty emo.
He's very emo. And if you all haven't gone on Twitter and friended emo Kylo Ren, I urge you to do so immediately.
It's great.
That stuff is brilliant. I use the Force to open my Black Parade CD. You tried getting a job hot topic through Twitter with it. And even Twitter's response was, Hot Topic's Twitter response was brilliant. It was like, well, that depends. Are you better working solo or in a group?
Oh,
I laughed.
I liked Ren. Ren was, I think, the most interesting character in the whole movie, for me.
Ren or Rey?
Ren, Kylo Ren.
You know what? There are so many new characters, it's hard to pick my favorite. I mean, obviously my favorite, I'm still going to say, is BB-8.
Yeah.
Love that little thing. I want a remote control one to run around my apartment. And that thing was so... If you can get a droid to emote and make you feel they can't speak a lick of English, it doesn't have any facial expressions, it's a ball on a cup, then you have something. You have something special.
Yeah, BB-8's amazing.
Emoted less than Wall-E.
So Rey's getting mind raped, right? And she figures out, hey, screw this, I can fight back.
Yeah, and she's able to block him.
He's totally taken aback, like, this has never happened before.
And he even goes running to Snoke. He's like, Daddy, she won't let me in her mind.
It's like Bill Cosby and the chick wakes up.
Oh. Ew. What's wrong with you today?
What's wrong with him? He's the one raping chicks. But anyway, she could push back, and not only push back, but she's stronger than he is.
I had a problem with this. She was stronger than him.
Yeah.
Without training.
She may have had training. And not remembered it.
She may have had, and they better go into that. Like, she have had training, then had a mind wipe to make her forget who she is to keep her safe on Jakku. I hope that's the reason. That's the only plausible reason I'm willing to accept right now. Because, and we'll get into that at the end when we're going through the plot line.
Yeah.
But going through this, she's able to escape. Meanwhile, they're torturing her on the Star Killer, the giant death base. So, meanwhile, Leia showed back up, met with Han. Han's like, I've seen my son.
A very emotional reunion. They even played like their love theme from Empire Strikes Back, which was nice.
And I felt bad for Carrie Fisher because it's been years since she's done any serious acting, and it showed. She was not as strong as she used to be.
Well, they didn't give her much to work with either.
They really didn't give her much to work with, but even a good actor can take a little bit and make it memorable.
Yeah.
But it's just been years since she's done any serious acting. She's done a few comedy roles here and there, but nothing dramatic, and it really showed.
I think she did better in the scene later on, a reactionary scene. We'll talk about that later. She did better in that scene than she did the scene with Harrison
Ford, but they just devise a plan. They're going to take the Millennium Falcon and infiltrate the Star Killer. They're going to find a way to take the shields down off of the power generator so the rebels can come in and bomb the power generator and blow it up. This all sounds very familiar.
I love how they actually showed like the Star Killer base hologram next to a Death Star.
We're like, it's the same thing, but bigger.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and say I didn't like the Star Killer.
Yeah, it's good. They don't need to do that again. They need to retire the planet
giant
exploder.
Planet blowing up thingy. I understand blowing up planets is really impressive, but we've done it and it was too many times to the well.
Yeah. Well, we also find out in the scene, we see C-3PO, he has a red arm now.
It was like, you might not recognize me because of my red arm. What?
Yeah. And then R2-D2, poor R2, like, that got the heartstrings going for me. That he's so sad that, like, Luke is gone, that he just shut himself down.
Yeah, he's in limited power mode or whatever they call it.
Elaine says my dog Bowser does this. If I'm gone and she's home, he just just sits there waiting on me.
Yeah, I think my cat would just sit here licking herself. Like, he'll be back, humans.
But I thought that was kind of sad. Like, poor R2. Because I love R2-D2.
I know. Who doesn't love R2-D2?
So they go through the whole plan thing. Admiral Akbar is there, and Neenum from both characters from Return of the Jedi, which I appreciated. Of course, Akbar didn't say, I would have popped, honestly.
What is wrong with you, man?
How do you not like Trump?
Well, no, okay. Akbar saying that would have been great.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He was there.
Like Akbar was there. General Akbar's still around. I could have definitely dug on that if Akbar would have been like, "It's a trap," and I would just like lay at a look at him again.
It's another trap. So we get through the plan. Basically, it's Han, Finn, Chewie, and going to sneak in and shut the base down and get Rey. Is their plan, right? And then Poe and the pilots are going to attack after the. It's kind of the same plot as like Return of the Jedi. You send the small squad, shut the shields down, and then the Air Force goes in for a bombing.
Yeah. And what happens is they get down there and they're trying to shut down. They end up finding they're able Han, Chewie, and Finn are able to get a hold of Captain Phasma and make her take down the shield to gunpoint. Like, you fools, you'll never do this. Skip that. And they're like, I love this little tip of the hat too. Like, do you have a trash compactor around here?
Oh yeah.
We do. So it's definitely implied that they Han threw her in a trash compactor as justice for what happened in A New Hope.
Oh, and how great was Rey's escape?
Rey's escape was great. I mean, she kind of picked up on what Kylo Ren was doing. So she goes ahead, and there's one guard standing there who's like, "You will undo these shackles and let me go." And he's like, "One more word, and I'm tightening those shackles." And if she does it again, he's like, "I'll untighten these shackles and let these go." And she gets up, and you'll drop your gun, and I'll drop my gun.
So that's another scene. It makes you think that she's had training before, because otherwise she wouldn't.
It does
know to do it.
I do see why certain people, cough masks, Landis cough, have said she is a Mary Sue, which, if you're not familiar with the term Mary Sue, it's a term used for a female character when the writer has imposed themselves as an all-powerful, good-at-everything character with no apparent reason. And there is no apparent reason.
Yeah. And she's pretty much like little kid Anakin in like episode 1, where he can fly, he can build C-3PO, he can do the pod racing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but less annoying and definitely cooler.
Yeah, Rey was badass.
But that's about the extent as that we'll compare her to anybody in the prequel.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that her power base is her skill set is very, very similar. You know what I mean?
Daisy Ridley was so good in this role. And for her first major acting, though, she's done a couple of bit parts and different stuff here and there. But this is her first motion picture, her first lead role in anything, and she knocks it out of the park.
Yeah,
how many people can say?
She was by far, I thought, the best acted new character. Like everybody else did, John Boyega and everybody else did a fine job, but she took it to the next level, I thought.
John Boyega walked a very tight line with me, because it seemed like at certain points he was kind of wanting to go a little bit of Will Smith, Big Willie style.
Yeah, he had a kind of a swagger going.
Yeah, kind of like that new little swagger, and I can. Sometimes you're walking a fine line with me, sir. Don't go that route. And he didn't, but he so easily could have.
Oh, yeah.
And I think if Lucas was directing it, that's what would have happened.
So get through there. We get to the point where they find Rey, because she already escaped. She didn't need rescued, really.
Well, she needed a way off there, and luckily, they had the Millennium Falcon there because they came to get her.
Oh, when Han and Leia met, she told him to bring back her son, or their son.
Yeah, so they're trying to escape, and Han sees his son.
Yeah, and you could tell he's wanting to leave. From my interpretation, you could tell he was like, "I'm getting out of here. I don't want to deal with this." But then you could see it on his face that he remembered that he promised to try. Yeah,
he promised to try. It wasn't just I'm gonna leave my kid. I've got to try to bring my kid back.
Yeah, but you could tell it was his first thought was to get out of there. But then he wanted to keep his promise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he confronts Kylo Ren on this big bridge. I guess that's the best way to describe it. And man, that scene that's up there with Luke. No, I am your father. That's this movie's I am your father scene. I thought, as far as emotional impact.
Yeah. And they and let's just read down. They meet on a bridge overlooking the precipice of the inside of the Starkiller base, and it's just a bottomless pit to the core. So he's sitting there. He yells, "Ben!" He calls him by his real name. Ben Solo is dead.
Obviously named after Obi-Wan, Ben Kenobi.
Ben Kenobi, yeah, definitely. They go and it's just heartbreaking. He confronts him and he's like, I want, and Kylo Ren says, pretty much I have to choose, and I was like, just come with me. He's like, help me complete this.
Oh, and Kylo takes his helmet off too.
Yeah, Kylo's sitting there without the helmet on, like, Dad, help me finish, and they both, he extends his lightsaber and Han goes to reach for it, and they're both holding on to it, and all of a sudden,
If you notice the lighting in the room, it was like half blue, half red, and then the lighting switched, and when it turned all red, that's when he did the deed.
He put that lightsaber straight through Han Solo's chest.
And then, like, Han reached up and touched his son's face, right?
He did, and he just touched his son's face and fell to his death.
That was one of the best movie deaths ever. Of an established character like that, like, very few can rank that up there with that. I think. I mean, it's like, it sucks that Han Solo's gone, but man, did he go out, like, right. You know what I mean? His death meant something. And then the howl from Chewbacca.
Yeah, I mean, Chewbacca, and I spoke to this, and I think they kind of missed an opportunity because it was mentioned in New Hope, angry Wookiee will tear your arm off. Chewbacca, like, lets out a huge roar and just starts blasting First Order troopers right and left, but I would have liked to have seen him just rip a, trooper right in half with his own hands. Like, that's how lost he was.
Yeah, that was painful, man. That, like, got me worse than Han's death, was Chewie's reaction to it.
Yeah, and Chewie was just and I'm tearing up again. His best friend of so many years just died right in front of his eyes. There's nothing he could do about it. Chewie got off a shot and hit Kylo Ren in the side.
Yeah. And also, they should Leia's reaction back on the car, like where she knew.
Yeah, I mean,
and you could see the weight of that hit her. Like, that was Carrie, I thought's best scene.
Yeah, I mean, the weight just hit her. She knew, like, the Force got through her and knew what had just happened.
So I give her props for that. I thought that was, like, her reaction to it was, like, spot on.
It was.
But then they, at the same time, the rebels are bombing this place, so the planet's about to blow up. Finn and Rey go out into the icy planet, right? And Kylo Ren stalks him.
Yeah, stalks him and ends up trying to fight him. Does a number on John Boyega, or Finn.
I thought he was dead.
Yeah, a lot of people thought he took a lightsaber straight to the spine.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see if he'll be like a cyborg in 8.
I mean, they got him off there, but Rey ends up fighting Kylo Ren and just, Ren saying, I can help you be stronger. I can train you. And all of a sudden, like, she has this moment of clarity and Force pushes Kylo Ren backwards and starts taking it to him with her own lightsaber, and then the ground just quakes and splits open as the base is being destroyed.
But the scene that she even gets the lightsaber, because he knocks it out of Finn's hand, right?
Yeah, and she uses the Force.
Yeah, like Kylo's like reaching for it, and like it's not coming to him. Like you see it move, and you think, well, maybe it's coming to him because he really wants it, because I think he knows it's Anakin's. And he's a big Darth Vader mark. And then you see it move and fly out, and it comes to her, because she's incapacitated before that.
Yeah.
And it just comes to her, and then like she ignites it, and I'm just like, oh, because all the material and stuff, it was always Finn with the lightsaber. So that was like a huge swerve. That it was Rey that was really the Jedi. When all the material leading up to it would make you think that Finn was the Jedi, because he always had the lightsaber, right?
Yeah.
So that was like the big swerve. It's like, no, like, or this big swerve of the whole movie was it was Rey that's the Jedi. Yeah, she like pulls it out of the snow, like reminiscent from Luke and the Empire Strikes Back. And they have a different fight than the prequels or the originals. It was like a physical, like, heavyweight fight. You know what I mean? It was like it wasn't like the ballet type fights of the prequels, or like the kind of, I don't even know how to describe the original trilogy fights. They were pretty slow.
They were pretty slow, and they were just like, especially the first one between Darth and Obi-Wan in A New Hope. I mean, that was an old guy poking at a robot with a stick, basically.
Yeah, this was pretty much people just swinging full force, trying to beat the hell out of each other.
Yeah.
And eventually she overcomes and just beats the living shit out of Rey. Or Rey beats the living shit out of Kylo Ren. And then the Force intervenes and sort of, as the planet's splitting apart, it sort of puts a big gap in between them. And it's like, yeah, you can kind of like roll your eyes at that. But the Force kind of works that way in that universe.
It does. And the good thing was, Hux goes to the hologram of Snoke, and Snoke was like, grab Kylo Ren, it's time for his training to be complete, blah, blah, blah. And I just found this out. The actor who played General Hux, Domhnall Gleeson, and this just blew my mind, played Bill Weasley in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows.
Nice.
General Hux is a Weasley.
Damn soulless Weasleys.
Just let that sink in. Wow. And I didn't even recognize him. That's the really messed up part, as many times as I've seen Harry Potter.
Yeah. So I guess off-screen Hux got off, Ren got off, and presumably maybe Phasma. Because I've heard she's going to be at 8, so I guess she got off with him.
They really need to bring her back in 8. I felt like she was underused. Like that scene in front of Maz Kanata when Finn was fighting that stormtrooper.
Yeah.
With the lightsaber. That really should have been Phasma.
She's kind of like Boba Fett in the original trilogy. She's there. She looks awesome. Doesn't do too much.
But the actress playing her, Gwendolyn Christie, is phenomenal. She's been in Game of Thrones for the past couple of seasons as Lady Brienne of Tarth. And she is a phenomenal actress. Very rough around the edges. And they need to do a lot more with her.
Hopefully they will in 8. Then they blow the planet up. Of course, Chewie brings the Falcon around. I was worried at first they were going to destroy the Falcon, too.
You know what? I thought the Falcon was going to bite it because it was like, hey, no Han Solo, no Falcon. That's a package deal. Like, and the Falcon is meant much like a lot of legendary vehicles in TV and movies. Like in Supernatural, it's their Camaro. An old 69 Camaro they have. Star Trek, it's the Enterprise. You feel something for these transporters, these ships, these cars, whatever. They're plot devices, but we feel for them. And I really did think that the destruction of the Millennium Falcon when they were trying to land on the Death Star, I thought that was going to come first as because they went from light speed to land directly onto the planet at light speed.
Yeah.
And I thought the Millennium Falcon was going to bite it there as a, little foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Well, foreshadowing for Han. Luckily it didn't. We still have the Millennium Falcon. And they go back and they put, Chewie gets the Millennium Falcon, gets Rey and Ren off there. They go back to the Rebel base. They get Finn into treatment.
Yeah. And R2-D2 wakes up.
Yeah, and R2-D2 suddenly wakes up. And he's like,
popped for that.
Here's the rest of the map that you couldn't find. The piece of the map's finally fit, and they know where Luke is hiding.
Because at this point, we're like, the movie's almost over. We still haven't seen Luke Skywalker.
So Rey gets in the Millennium Falcon with Chewie.
But some Princess Leia, from a story standpoint leading into 8, it makes sense that she didn't go just find Luke. But from a character standpoint, I don't think it made too much sense. But they did it, so I was like, I get why they did it.
And she's got a rebellion to run. She's trying to hunt down the First Order. I get it.
So
Rey follows the map and lands on this really watery planet with only a few little islands on it. And it looks like, to me, That was where the first Jedi Temple used to be.
Yeah, that's what people said that Luke was. That was at the first temple. It's kind of. I think they shot it like Ireland or something like that.
Yeah, looked like the coast Ireland. They land the Millennium Falcon. She climbs up this impossible flight of stone stairs. It looks like a mile long upward. And she gets to the top, and there's an old man in a cloak. He turns around, lowers the cloak, and it's Luke Skywalker.
Finally.
And she extends her hand holding his lightsaber, and he looks at her. Go to credits.
Dun, 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 and then the audience pops.
You're like, yeah!
Oh my god!
Take my money! Take more! Here's my kids! Take them!
Yeah. You're like, take my son for episode 8 right now, just play it.
And the first thing my son said when we were walking out the theater was like, Daddy, I want more of this. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I want another movie. I'm like, well, you're in luck because we've got Star Wars Rebel 1 next year. He's like, Rebel 1? So I had to explain to him what's that. I'm like, and then year after that, we're going to get episode 8. So we're going to pick up right where we left off. We're going to see more Luke. And he's like, yeah, more Luke. And that's right.
It's the spring of 2017. So we really got to wait a year and a half.
I don't agree with that release date either. I feel like Star Wars is more of a winter movie thing. It's like when they released Harry Potter in the summer.
Yeah.
It didn't feel right to me. I like it in the winter.
But the first 6 were in the summer.
Yeah, well, it's feeling wintry to me.
They make more money in the winter.
Yeah, and they're not competing against major blockbusters.
But I think 8 will blow. There's so many things. We never learned Rey's name.
Yeah, we just know her as Rey.
Story-wise, I think it's almost positive she's Luke's daughter.
Yeah, and that's the big thing I was going to drop is she a Skywalker? If she is a Skywalker, and she was training to be a Jedi, but when Kylo Ren went rogue, Luke put her into hiding and used the Jedi trick to erase her memory,
yeah,
I buy it. I buy that she can hang tough with Kylo Ren. That's the only explanation I am willing to accept.
Because, I mean, if you look at Daisy Ridley, she looks a lot like Natalie Portman.
She does. She really does. And the thing about Daisy Ridley came off as such a strong female character. I loved it. A little Mary Sue-ish at times, but only if we don't get the proper explanation.
Yeah,
explanation.
But it's like she looked like her grandmother. If she is a Skywalker, we'll just assume she is, right? She looks a lot like her grandmother. She acts a lot like her aunt Leia, like that sort of I do it myself. You know what I mean? Independence.
Kind of also a little bit of both because she also acts like her father. You know, Luke was very good with droids and mechanical things and could fly.
And Anakin the same way. Her grandfather.
Yeah, let's not remember that.
Yeah, but I mean, Darth Vader created the TIE Fighter ships.
Yeah, I know, but like Darth did. Darth did, not Anakin. Darth.
Yeah, but he used Anakin's skill set.
God, jerk. Sorry, I get angry when.
Hey, even in Episode 4, The New Hope, Obi-Wan said what a great star pilot he was.
I know, and that made sense. But in retrospect, I still hate the prequels. I still hate them.
So, but I love 7. Like 7 had a couple flaws. It was a little too similar to the originals, but at the same time, it was kind of like a palate cleanse.
Oh God, it was an apology letter.
Yeah.
Like, we're sorry that Lucas fucked up your childhood.
And I didn't feel like it had a lot of things like in the cantina and different things, but I didn't feel like any part of it was like, this is to make action figures.
Yeah, this wasn't a profit. I mean, yeah, it was a profit-driven movie, but it wasn't for the sole purpose of like, we're making this to make toys. No, we're making this to make a good film.
Yeah, the toys will come along with it, you know, just on their own, but that's not I don't think that ever popped into JJ's mind. What can we make a toy out of? I think he thought, this looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it was like, this works with my story.
Yeah.
And JJ is not directing the next one. He'll still be on as a producer and whatnot. And He's kind of sad he's not directing it, but at the same time, you need a change of helm to keep things.
Yeah, the original trilogy had 3 different directors.
It did, and the best one was still directed by Irvin Kershner.
Yeah.
Because Kershner had the balls to say, okay, Lucas, I love your idea, but here's what I'm changing.
Yeah, well, I think Lucas was so busy getting everything set up at Lucasfilm, like with all the business side of it, that Kershner had more leeway. Just out of necessity.
Yeah. I mean, it was so much about this movie and so expensive. Poe Dameron, we forgot to mention, was not dead. He made it back to the Rebel base after ejecting from the original TIE fighter. He was able to get a ship and get back to the Rebels.
Yeah, he's kind of like the modern Wedge Antilles. He's the pilot. He's the pilot that lives.
Yeah, but he's got more dialogue than Wedge.
Yeah.
Great character too. I really liked Poe Dameron. I really did. He was very strong, very emotional too, and it didn't give a crap what Kylo Ren had to say to him. He was willing to stand up to Kylo Ren's fate with no fear.
He's like, "What are you gonna do? Kill me?"
Yeah. That's the worst you got.
Well, one thing I wish they would have done more is to explain what's up with the New Republic. Like, why is there something called a Resistance?
I would like to know more, but at the same time, I don't want to get talking to the Trade Federation again.
Yeah, I get that, but it's just an idea of what the status of the Republic is.
True. Never really clear, but that's whatever.
And then they didn't really go into their planets like you watch the original Star Wars, you're like, okay, this is Endor, this is Hoth, this is Tatooine. These planets, like, I had no idea what any of them were called except for Jakku.
Yeah, they needed to be more specific.
Like, the First Order blew up this planet, and I thought watching it was Coruscant. Because it was very city-like planet.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something Prime... Oh, what's the name of it? Let's see. Hosnian Prime.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I didn't care that the First Order just blew up 5 planets.
Yeah.
Because I had no emotional connection to those planets. When the Death Star blew up Alderaan, I cared. Because that was Leia's home planet.
Yeah.
It made you feel. She made you feel. I didn't care.
If it was Coruscant, we would have cared. Because, we've at least been there.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't like the prequels, you were familiar with it.
Oh, if you didn't like the prequels and you're like, good, Coruscant's gone.
Oh, yeah.
Can you also take care of Naboo and every Gungan? Blowing up Naboo would have been great.
I think that would have been too hard of a screw you.
No, that would have been great. I would have loved it. And every fan in the world would have loved it, let's be honest.
There's always episode 8. And at some point...
Star Killer.
Star Killer 2.
Electric Planet.
But on the whole, like, it's goodness overcame its few flaws, I thought.
Yeah, if you nitpicking flaws at half, I overlooked right away.
Yeah, because they had a lot of things to cover.
They did.
As far as what's been going, hints of what's been going on the last 30 years.
Yeah. And luckily, I think everyone but Harrison Ford has signed on for episode 8.
Yeah, because he obviously won't be back because he's not force sensitive.
I think Han is very force sensitive, sir.
The luck thing, there's no luck, and I gotcha.
I think Han is force sensitive. I believe it. I choose to believe.
But not to the point where he can become back as a spirit. He's not like Obi-Wan, Anakin, Yoda level.
Well, they bring him back with him. They're like, in the afterlife, here's what you do. Oh.
But it's hard to judge what they didn't say in episode 7 until 8 and 9 come back. And if they still don't explain stuff, then you can kind of be harder on 7.
That's true, and we could be much harder on, on Rey's character.
Yeah, so it's a lot of this movie depends. A lot of people didn't like this. That it continued like this. It's kind of like the ending of Empire Strikes Back, or like to be continued.
Yeah. Which I'm all for a to be continued ending, especially and we knew they were coming anyway.
Yeah,
we know we're getting 8 and 9. And so it was well worth it to know that, so we get that ending. We also get an Empire-esque ending. We get a little bit of hope with them fighting Luke, but at the same time, we just lost Han.
Yeah.
But the Star Killer is blown up. Boy, we still lost Han. So it's kind of, we won, but we lost.
It's kind of like the ending of Episode 1 too. They lost Qui-Gon Jinn, but they won the battle, but they had casualties. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, except I didn't care about Qui-Gon.
I like Qui-Gon. How can you not like Liam Neeson?
I don't like Liam Neeson. It's the fact that the character wasn't fleshed out enough. The story was bad, so I didn't care. I didn't feel anything. I felt more when Obi-Wan died in Episode 4 than what I did when Qui-Gon did in Episode 1.
Yeah, they didn't go. Basically, all we knew about Qui-Gon was he was kind of a gray Jedi that didn't really want to go with the Council all the time.
Yeah, but he was still a Jedi Master, and
he was kind of a rebel.
Yeah, he rebel with a lightsaber.
But overall, I was very, very pleased with 7. I didn't walk out of it like I was worried going in.
Yeah, because you and I started getting flashbacks. We're like, oh god, is this going to be as bad as Episode 1? Kept going in our head.
Well, not even just as bad as that, but just not as good as... My line was like, I hope it's as good as 3. Because 3 is by far the best of the prequels.
It's still horrible. That's like saying this is the prettiest looking piece of crap that I put in the toilet.
I'm saying if it's at least that level, so I was worried it would think the 1 and 2 levels.
No, the only thing I was going to accept is as good as Empire or nothing.
That's high. That's pretty high standard.
Yeah, and guess what? They nailed it, sir. They nailed it. My standards may have been high going in, but guess what? They were getting my hard-earned money, and now they've gotten it twice.
I still need to see it a second time.
Yeah,
I still haven't got around to it.
Yeah, that's why I have kids, so I can take them maybe the second time.
But I think it'll be around till probably Deadpool's out, so I think it'll still be around for another 6 weeks or more.
Yeah, it has a minimum 5-week run.
But
it's funny, on a side note, the guy right behind me when I was getting tickets yesterday for my second showing was like, I need 2 tickets to 3D of Point Break. I was just like, dude, Episode 7 is showing right now. You don't have to settle for that.
I'm like Alvin and the Chipmunks road trip.
If you have little kids with them, I don't understand that. 4-year-old, 5-year-old, I'm going to see, I might get that. But Point Break, sir.
You have bad taste.
Listen, your money would be better served if you just give it to me and walk out of the theater.
You just say it sucked. They got to save you 2 hours.
Watch the original Point Break at home.
Yeah.
What you were thinking, but you have bad taste and you should feel bad.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, that's all I've got for Episode 7. Josh, you got anything to tack on?
Just 8 needs to hurry up.
Well, we've got Rogue One first, sir. Calm your pants.
I don't know. Rogue One should be alright. It's going to be different. It's not going to be your typical Jedi Skywalker story. It's going to be a different spin on Star Wars. It's kind of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think, where they'll focus on different aspects of that world. Yeah. Where Ant-Man is totally different than, Thor or Captain America.
That's fine. I'm willing to go into a different, we're getting away from the Jedi. Let's see some starfighters and let's see what's going on with this. See if we can do Star Wars without being part of the Skywalkers or the Jedi or the Sith.
Yeah. And I think eventually we'll get a Boba Fett movie too.
We need a Boba Fett. And they're working on a young Han Solo movie.
I hope it's good.
Oh, you know what? Disney hasn't led us astray yet.
I know.
Our movies have all been good. Even the ones that are just like okay are okay. You know, they're not bad.
Yeah, they're all pretty good. Even like Incredible Hulk and the Iron Man sequels.
Yeah, I mean, I have my problems with Iron Man 2 and 3, but I've still watched them a couple of times.
Oh, yeah, they're not bad. They're not like...
I trust Disney. Trust the mouse.
So we're predicting that Rey is a Skywalker, right?
Yes, Rey is a Skywalker, and Finn is the other black guy.
Yeah, you think Lando would be an 8?
Lando would need to be in this one, and that's something I forgot to touch on. I was very disappointed that we didn't get at least one scene with Luke, Han, and Leia ultimately.
Yeah, true.
We're not like that. You can't get that. He's dead. But
and Snoke, do you think? I think Snoke is Darth Plagueis. I'll go on record. I could be totally wrong. I
agree with you. I think it's a good guess. I have to agree with you. I think it's the most plausible thing. Either that, or he's a Sith we just haven't heard of yet.
Is maybe like a secret. 30 years have passed, and Sith is a philosophy, so maybe he learned about it on Korriban or one of those Sith planets.
It's really Count Dooku. He's still alive.
It's Jar Jar.
Fuck! Oh no.
That was the worst philosophy ever. Oh, it's Jar Jar Binks. No,
sir.
None of that. You make bad movies, you make them worse. Because at that point, it's not just a bad movie; it's a bad movie that tarnishes all the rest of the movies.
And it's just you're trying to troll your audience.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll see. We'll talk about episode 8 maybe before it comes out.
Indeed.
And next time, probably, well, maybe Battlefront, or maybe we'll talk about wrestling again. Something new soon. We'll try not to have a month gap again.
Yeah, we will try to talk more soon.
All right, take care, everybody. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.